Hello guys, welcome back to Java session. Today we are going to understand what is this MVC architecture, what are the components which are involved in this MVC architecture, how to design an application by using this MVC architecture, model view controller architecture, right? So coming to this MVC architecture, beta this MVC stands for model view controller, right? It's a well-known design pattern which is used for developing the web applications, right? Whenever we are developing the web applications, their HTML pages are involved, server side code will be involved, and database side code will be involved, right? So altogether, it looks so clumsy. What we want to do, we want to organize the code in a very good manner. So by using this MVC architecture, we can organize the code in different patterns, right? It's consisting of three layers. One is model, the other one is view, the other one is the controller, right? Here, model which deals with the database, and view that deals with the presentation part, controller which deals with the request and responses, right? So that's what altogether we are calling it as a MVC architecture, right? So it needs all these three components they are maintained with three different objects, right? Now we'll understand one by one. So here we are going to separate the logical part from the user interaction while we are interacting with the database, right? The logical part is going to be handled by the controller, and database part is going to be handled by the model, and the presentation part is going to be handled by the view part, right? So this MVC architecture, it consisting of these three layers. They are view, model, and controller. These are the three layers which are there in the MVC architecture. Now, sir, coming to this MVC, beta, basically this can be used in web development, right? This is the most popular architecture. This is used to build the web applications. There we have the presentation part. You can also call it as a view part, where we want to uh, represent the data, or user can interact with the view part. And we have the database where we can store the data. So that's what we use the database. And we have the controller part, which takes the request from the user, and that submits to the database, and it gets the response from the database, and that will be hand over to the view part. Then that can be called as a controller, right? So this is a view part, this is a controller part, something which deals with the database, then that is called as a model part, right? That's what we are all together. By using this, we can design the web applications. Now, sir, where we are using, or any other design patterns or following this MVC architecture means, but most popular frameworks, let's say Java framework that is following this, and Python framework, that is Django, it is also following this. In Java framework, Spring Boot, they will follow MVC architecture. In Python framework, Django, it will follow this MVC architecture. And in Node.js, whatever we learn, that will also follow this. Node.js internally, it has a framework that is Express.js, that will also follow this MVC architecture. In Python PHP framework, we have this Cake PHP, and Ruby, and Microsoft.NET. There we have the ASP.NET MVC that will also follow this MVC architecture. There are many other popular frameworks will follow the MVC architecture, right? Sir, what are the components of this MVC architecture? What they are going to do? Yeah, better, very simple. Here, this view part, it deals with the user interactions. Whenever the user is requesting something, whenever the controller wants to present some data, right? Or when the user wants to write something, right? This is completely deals with the user interactions. Whenever he wants to send a request, right? Then the controller, it processes the request and it sends the response to the view part. That in the sense, whatever the request which is taken from here, that will be read by the controller, and it interacts with the database, and whatever the response it is getting, that response will be rendered back to the view part. This is the part, this is the uh, purpose of this controller. Coming to the model, you can say it's a middleware that handles with the database operations, right? Whenever the user sends any request that is read by the controller will forward that to the model. What the model will do, model will send that query to the database. So by executing the data query on the database will generate some response. That response will be hand over to the controller. So this is the responsibility of the model, right? These are the three layers: view, controller, and then model. Sir, we want a simple architecture to represent this means, but here I will show you a very simple diagram so that I will draw here so that you can understand. Let us assume here is the user, right? So user is interacting with the view part, right? You can say user interaction with view part, right? This is view part where we can represent our data, or you can uh, process the request. You are sending the request goes to the controller, right? So controller, what it will do, it will ask the model to provide the data. It will ask model to provide data, right? So here is the model. What the model will do, it will request the same to the database. It is requesting to database to provide data. Here is the database. So what the database will do, it generates a response. So response from database, right? That response will be written to the controller, returning response. That response will be rendered to the or sent to the view part, right? So this what exactly is going to happen in the MVC architecture, right? This is the view part, which is taking the request from the user and representing the response of the model or controller. Then viewport send the request to the controller. Controller will ask the model to provide the data. Model will request the database. Database will provide the response. That response will be forwarded to the controller by the model. So model, then controller, it returns that response to the view part, right? This is all about the MVC architecture, right? So here you have the diagrammatic representation. Browser, that is nothing but the view part, right? It sends the request. Then controller layer, what it will do, it gathers the data and updates the data to the view layer, right? View layer sends back results to the browser, right? This is the architecture of the MVC. Coming to the advantages, better here, all components are easily maintained because we don't have much dependency. Here we have the very less dependency, and model can be reused by multiple views because the code reusability is the main advantage. And develop here, whoever the developer or the programmer, they can work with the different layers simultaneously. That is one more advantage. Using MVC, applications become more understandable because what is view part, what is database part, what is controller part, that will be very easy. So it will be more understandable, and each layer is maintained separately. Therefore, we do not require massive code to deal, right? So a lightweight code in every part is required to deal with this MVC architecture, right? The extending and testing of the application is easier because the view part code is separated and the controller part code is separated and model part is code separated. This is how the MVC architecture will work, and these are all the advantages of the MVC architecture. Now, Beta, we will understand a program or we develop a application by using this MVC architecture. Here, first I will take the view part, or I'm going to develop an example for the student where I'm going to store the student data. I'm going to represent the student data, and I'm going to perform the different operations of this student, reading the data or setting the roll number or getting the roll number, and setting the name and getting the name. So these are all the operations I'm going to perform, right? So in student view, what we can do, we can print the student details. So that is the view part, print student details. This can be called as a student view or view part. So if we have any updates in the student, that updates I am going to give it in the student view part. Then these are all the operations which are going to be performed by the controller. So here student controller will be there. Student controller, it is responsible for getting the data and setting the data. So whatever the data which is stored in the database, or you can say model, so that we can get by using this student controller. So what I'm going to do, whatever the name, so that is set a student name or get student name, set student roll number, get student roll number. These are all going to be retrieved from the model, that is Excel student. That is Excel student. It contains the name which is already given, right? Set name and then get name, set roll number and then get roll number, right? So I'm going to get it from here and I'm going to update to the student view, right? So this is all I'm going to do by using the MVC pattern, right? Here I will take the main. By using this, I'm going to retrieve it and I'm going to hand over to the view part, right? Now we'll see this example. We'll implement this. Yeah, beta. So here I'm taking a class. My class name is course, which is storing the course details or complete student course details, right? There I need the course name, course ID and course category, right? So I'm getting the course ID and I'm setting the course ID. I'm using setters and getters with them, and I'm getting the name, course name and setting the name, and course category, setting the course category, and I'm getting the course category. This is for the course. Then I'm taking one more class. My class is course controller, right? So this course controller, for course controller, we need the model and view, right? I'm taking the constructor. There I'm passing the parameters as course model and the course view, right? So I'm initializing instance variables. Whatever the course name I'm setting, and set course name and get course name, set course ID, get course ID, then set course category and get course category. So whatever the details we have, those details I'm updating to the print course detail. Update view means if there are any modifications, those are I'm going to reflect it on the view part. So that's what I'm using the view object of the view. So view dot print course details. There I am printing the name, ID and category. This I am doing it in the controller. Then now I'm implementing the view part. In view part, what we will do? Just we will display the date. So here I'm taking the course view. In course view, what I want to do, I want to print the course details, right? So this is course view. In course view, what I'm doing, I'm printing the course details, right? That is course name, course ID, course category, right? So course details, I'm printing course name, course ID, course category. This is the way I'm representing, right? This is the view part. Now, acha, 1 minute. We'll erase this. I will continue this flow. Now we will start from the main bit. Here, what I'm doing, I'm taking the main method. I'm creating object to the course, that is model, right? First, we created a class, that is course class. For that, I am creating an object, that is model object. So I'm calling a method that is retrieve course from the database. This is the method I am calling. So where we have this means, you can see here, I'm taking a static method, right? Retrieve course from database, right? Here, I'm creating object for the course class. There, I'm setting the course name as Java, course ID as 1, course category as Python. I'm returning this, right? These details will be stored in the uh, returned by this method, that is retrieve course from the database. That in the sense, all those details will be stored in the model, right? This is a model which is calling this method. That method is going to return all these details. Those details are going to be stored in the model, right? Now, this model is the object which is holding all these details. Same way, I'm creating object for the view, right? View is the object of course view class. Then we have the course view. This is one more class. This class object is view, right? Now, what I'm doing, course controller is another class which we created. I'm created object to this course controller, right? This is course controller beta. For course controller, I am creating a object that is controller object. So, but for course controller, what are the parameters? Model and view. So for this, I am passing this model which is holding the data, that whole uh, course details, and I am handovering the view part, right? Whenever you are calling the constructor of that class, automatically what will happen? The class constructor gets executed. Now, better we are connected to this point. That in the sense we are here. So I'm clearing this. Keep in mind, we should call the constructor of the course controller class. Now I will go to the course controller class so that you can understand the flow. So open your course controller class. In course controller class, we need the parameters model and course view. Yes, we are passed. So they are initialized. Now what will happen? You are called this constructor, that's what they gets executed, right? Then what will happen? What is the next step of this? So if you go to the main method, you are calling the controller dot update view. Update view is a method which is there in the controller class. That in the sense, within this class, you have the update view method. You are calling the update view. So that whenever you are calling this method, update view, what it will do? It should update the details on the presentation part. Now go to the update view method. So here if you see update view method, in update view method what we are doing, we are printing the details by using the view dot print course details. View is the object of course view class. There we are calling the print course details. So what are the details you are printing? Get name, get ID, and get category. So if you go to the course view, right? Sorry, this is where the course view. Yeah, this is a course view. In course view, you are calling the print course details, right? Now, there you are returning the course name, course ID, and course category, right? Those details you are printing here, course name, course ID, and course category, right? After this, go to the main method because uh, we are here only, right? This is the statement which we executed. After this, what we are going to do? Again, I want to update the data in the model, right? Controller dot set course. Earlier course is Java. Now I am setting the course as Python. So after updating, again I want to display. So what should I do? I should call the controller dot update view. Update view, what it will do? View dot print course details. Then we'll go to the course uh, course view method, course view class. There we are calling this print course details. Then again we will display this. This is how this MVC architecture is going to work beta. Beta, if you want to understand this very clearly, repeat it, listen one or two times. Blindly, without following the flow, you cannot understand this beta. Be patient, listen the video completely and watch one or two times so that you can understand and go with the flow. Then only you can understand. Start from main method and how I retrieve, same way, how I follow the flow, how I followed the flow, same way you should do this, right? Now we will execute this. So where we have the main method, I have the main method in the MVC pattern demo, right? Here it is, copy the class name. Better you no need to compile all of them. So all my programs are stored in MVC. All these four are Java files only. Beta, you can observe here. Now I'm compiling. Java space your class name dot Java. You can observe in my folder, all class files are going to be generated, right? Now it's compiled successfully. All class files are generated. Now run this Java space MVC pattern demo. You got the output here. You can see course details, name Java, course ID 1, course category programming. So after updating the course details, name Python 1 and categories programming, right? This is all about the MVC architecture beta. Chalo. Thank you guys.